In 1970s London, a then unemployed actor named Richard O'Brien sat one winter and he got bored because he wasn't working. So when he got bored, he started writing a script to kind of keep himself busy. O'Brien had been a huge fan of science fiction and campy low grade movies, starting with he started mixing like sci-fi and horror and glam rock into a musical not so far removed from other rock operas at the time, like The Who's, Tommy, things like that. When he felt he had something going on, he shared a script with Jim Sharman, who had directed a production of Jesus Christ Superstar that O'Brien had had part in. And at the time, when they put it together, they sat and they wrote it. They got a crew together. They started working on things. And when they got it up and running, the working title was They Came from Denton High. Sharman felt the title needed a rework, though. And now we have the classic name that we all know, The Rocky Horror Show. The show first played in a small 60-seat theater. It was quickly moved because it was just massive. It was just going well, and it went from larger venue to larger venue before landing in the 230-seat Chelsea Classic Cinema. I can't even read my own notes. And then the 500-seat Kings Road Theater, where it ran for 6 years. In 1975, the Rocky Horror Show premiered on Broadway at the 1,000-seat Belasco Theater. It was shot between Bray Studios and Oakley Court, which is a Victorian Gothic type place, and it overlooks the River Thames. But, of course, now it would be known as the Rocky Horror Picture Show because of Fox. So Fox got involved because when it was released, it wasn't doing well. The critics didn't like it when it hit theaters. And Fox was like, well, we got to do something. So on April 1st, they did a rework of the poster, the iconic poster like what I have behind me on the wall. And it had the lips of Lorelei Shard, the Playboy model, biting that bright red lower lip and just making people go, what's this? Kind of being super seductive, sex sells and all. And it says, the famous subtitle, A Different Kind of Jaws. It premiered on April Fool's Day in 1976, and it released as a secret film in these theaters, kind of like an April Fool's Day joke to get people involved. Well, the cult following started to grow from there. A lot of people would come in, and they would just be overwhelmed with the scene because they wouldn't give it the chance because they had heard bad reviews, and suddenly they're going into the secret film and this musical and just being like, what the hell did I just watch? Watching this for the first time is like sandblasting a soup cracker, as Scott Adams would say in Dilbert. And that's the best thing I can think. It's mind-blowing if you've never seen it, especially if you don't know at all what you're getting into. But, most people do know now, at least a song or two, even if you've never seen it. Like, just go into a room full of people and start playing Time Warp. Pretty much everyone wants to get involved. The main cast is Susan Sarandon as Janet, Slut. Barry Bostwick as Brad, asshole. Patricia Quinn plays Magenta. Richard O'Brien, the writer, the guy that came up with it, plays Riff Raff, Magenta's brother. Little Nell plays Columbia. Meatloaf is in it, the singer from Bat Out of Hell, the guy whose band is named after him, who basically everything the guy did was a rock opera on stage. It's just amazing stuff to listen to and to watch the videos of and the performances of. If you get a chance after we're done here, go watch Meatloaf, man. Just any of his stuff. Paradise by the Dashboard Light's amazing. Any of that stuff. When you get on stage, it's a pageant. And then you had Charles Gray as a criminologist. He's a narrator, basically, for the show, off and on. But let's be real. The real star is Tim Curry. If Tim Curry's in it, Tim Curry's the star. I don't care if it's a TV adaptation of It. I don't care if it's Clue. I don't care if it's Muppet Treasure Island. I don't care if it's freaking him playing Herkimer Homolka in Congo. It's a Tim Curry movie. So I like Rocky Horror. The first time I went to see Rocky Horror, I was working at a haunted house. And it's Halloween season, so this is a season people go and see Rocky Horror. We're on our 49th year of Rocky Horror now. It predates me by a number of years, obviously. So I went and saw it. I think I was 15, 16, something like that, because I'd worked haunted houses pretty much all through junior high and high school. So I don't remember exactly what year, how old I was when I went to see it. I knew getting into it what was going to happen because I was hanging out with a bunch of theater people building sets for haunted houses, and they're like, hey, let's just go see Rocky Horror. So I did. And man, ever since then, I just love it. I don't seem like the kind of guy that would like that kind of thing. It's really big on transvestitism, cross-dressing. It's a musical. There's a select number of musicals I like. Believe it or not, I do have a little bit of culture in this uncultured swine that you're looking at. But for some reason, this always stands out. Part of it's the music. Part of it's the passion that everyone involved has for it, I think. Biggest part of it's probably Tim Curry. for sure. The way he plays Dr. Frankenfurter is just mind-blowing. He is that character. He said that he wanted it to be kind of like the Queen's pompousness, the way she presents herself, him being English, and the movie being based as an English movie. You know, it makes sense to do that, being that royalty. And Tim Curry freaking owns it. If you've ever seen him play in Legend, he just owns anything he does. He's excellent at it. Well, my friend Katie Cat goes, hey, you want to go see it this year? It's the 49th anniversary. And I said, hell yeah, I want to go. Let's go. So we went. Now, they did the show at a casino, which I thought was, okay, cool. There's going to be a casino crowd versus the regular Rocky Horror crowd. So let's see how this goes. If you've never been to Rocky Horror, the regular Rocky Horror crowd are not small people, and they're usually not with the best hygiene. Not always, but at least around here. I'm not saying anything super negative to them directly. Expect a lot of flamboyancy, expect a lot of people that you wouldn't see in public normally out in public, and expect people that you would see one way in public, maybe very prim and proper, be very the opposite of what they are. People come out of there, you'll see people that are very involved in politics out there in fishnets. It's crazy stuff. It's amazing. It's fun. Everybody goes haywire. Of course, I'm there in a hoodie and gray sweatpants because that's about the effort I put into anything these days. And I'm just getting old. Leave me alone. So we go, and they have shadow players there. If you've never been there, they play the movie, and they have the shadow cast. So it's just live actors, not voicing the words, but like, you know, pantomiming what's going on. It's quite entertaining. And let me show you what I saw. Looking forward to this all year. I always look forward to go seeing Rocky Horror. And this was my view. The whole movie. This is before the movie really starts, when they're just doing introductions. So Barry Bostwick was there in person, the guy that plays Brad. And, you know, he gets up there and he does a bit, a little stand-up bit. And so this is how, this picture is kind of like where it goes for me for the show. I always love Rocky Horror. It's always entertaining, but when you're looking at the back of this short dude's head, it's incredible. And I would move around him because you see this on one side of him, there's a little bit of space. I would move and somehow he would know and he would just move. But he was too far forward on his seat for me to tap him on the shoulder without leaning all the way forward like this and going, hey, sit your ass down. I felt bad for the guy because he was short. That's why he was up on his seat so high and you couldn't see past the people in front of him. Whatever. But this is during the time that Barry Bostwick is up giving his little spiel. Now, everyone's pretty sick of politics, I think, in America right about now, especially during an election cycle. And you would think that if your audience is laughing their asses off as you're retelling stories of Rocky Horror, you'd probably leave the politics out of it. You would be fucking wrong. One of the first few things he says after getting everybody on his side and laughing is something about Trump, comparing Donald Trump and Frankenfurter, which it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. It doesn't make any sense, and it showed in the crowd. It pretty much shut people down. Even the people that are like super left-wingers next to me that are huge fans of anything that hates Trump, the people that like actively is all they talk about is Trump, they were tired of hearing about Donald Trump. And you could tell because even they were kind of like crickets. And then he goes, oh, and starts telling more Rocky Horror jokes, which is great. And then he goes and talks about J.D. Vance and calling him doughy. We're talking about a combat Marine. You're calling him doughy. Barry Bostwick, you were never that in shape, bro. Like, you were like in shape enough for your era. But you shouldn't be talking about somebody else being doughy when their job was literally to beat the shit out of people for the country, you know? Anyway, that silenced everybody, and then he recovered and went on to tell more jokes, which got everybody back on board. And I was laughing my ass off at the rest of it, and I'm not super hung up on that part, but I wanted to mention it because I'm tired of talking about it. Everybody's tired of talking about it. Let's move along, folks. And then Barry Bostwick does something I never expected anyone to do in front of a group of people. But he is in Hollywood, so it's not super surprising. He didn't come out and say it directly, but he made a joke that got everyone laughing, and I started to chuckle for a second at first. And here's why. The joke was, because when you go in, you do the count, you know, how many times have you seen it, and everybody stands up, you know, and if you've seen it X amount of times, you sit down, you know, and then they do the next amount of times, the lower amount of times, and you sit down. So if you've only seen it like 5 times, you're going to sit down before, say, if you've seen it like 10. So I was, like, sat down immediately, because I've seen it more than most people. No lies. And, you know, we get down to the 5 or 6 people that had never seen Rocky Horror in theater before. So we called them virgins. Right? Usually get red lipstick, you draw a big V on their face. I had it done. Katie had it done the first time she saw it. And, it's normal. It's great. It's a fun thing. They didn't do that here, but whatever. But Barry Bostwick cracks the joke of, man, I know I took a lot of, I'll take your virginity tonight, don't worry. And I've, not like I haven't taken a lot of virginities from virgins at Rocky Horror shows before, which was funny for about 5 seconds until you realize the average age of a person. Now, everybody at this venue is 21 and up because it's at a casino. The average age for a person that goes to Rocky Horror to see it for the first time in theater is between 14 and 17 years old. Barry Bostwick has been playing that part of Brad 49 years. This has been him. So he's gone to tons of these opening shows, and he's bragging on, I don't know how true it is, guys, but he's bragging on how many virgins he's had from Rocky Horror in that amount of time. And I was kind of mind blown. I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't know if I would have admitted that part out loud, son. And I don't think I was the only person that caught it, because you could tell a couple people were kind of like, about it. But it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all just looking at the back of some dude's head, and it wasn't Barry Bostwick just being a goon. There was more to it. It was okay. There was a Rocky Horror. The stage people, the shadow actors were amazing. They did great at their jobs. They knew exactly what they were supposed to do. You could tell they were fans of the movie. You could tell they were passionate about it, down to the costumes. You saw a few people that do the costume contest thing at one point before the film starts. And there were quite a few people in costume that were there. There's other people that just think that dressing like a slut, to say, just to make it coarse and easy, is a costume. And all of them get booed off stage, because that's not what it is. You're going in fishnets, high heels, flamboyant makeup, corsetry, boas, feather boas. Come on, guys. If you're going to dress up right. Put some mindset into it. If you haven't seen it before, you're outing yourself at that point. And if you just don't want to do it, then don't do it. Dress like a slut. Don't get up on stage for like the applause, because you're not going to get it from this crowd. We're going to make fun of you, okay? That's what we do here. This is Rocky Horror. It's for passionate people, or people that are passionate about the movie that don't want to dress up. And I don't want to dress up because I don't want to. I have. Didn't want to. Didn't want to have to go and buy a corset and fishnets. And frankly, I'm too old to wear that crap. Although I should probably wear a girdle. I'm getting kind of fat. Anyway, so the movie is great. One of the shadow cast I felt bad for, because as she's running around, she was playing Janet, when Dr. Frankenfurter's chasing her around, he's chasing her through the audience, and her boobs were not held securely by her brassiere, and she was frantically trying to put them back in while running and not breaking character. That is someone who is dedicated to the role, and much applause to you, young lady, and nice rack. Anyway, moving on. It was a great show. If you haven't seen the Rocky Horror, I highly suggest you at least go experience once. It may not be your cup of tea, but even if it's not, go in with an open mind and have some fun. You can go there and be straight. I promise. I promise. You can be a Republican and go see it. I promise. You can. You can go and have a good time. It's entertaining. The music is catchy as hell. It's a fun time to be had by everybody. Like I said, everyone knows Time Warp. Just do jump to the left, step to the right, put your hands on your hips, bend your knees inside. But it's always the pelvic thrust that drives you insane. All right? Anyway, Rocky Horror was great. Be mindful of the people in the audience around you, please. I'm 6'2". I shouldn't have to, partially sit up out of my chair to see over your short head. I know you couldn't see me. You didn't have eyes in the back of your head. But, bro, if you're having a hard time seeing the stage because of people in front of you, people behind you are going to have a harder time when you move yourself upwards. Anyway, aside from that, gripe over. Tell me what you guys think of Rocky Horror. In fact, in the comments below, tell me how many times you've seen Rocky Horror in theaters. If you've ever taken part as a shadow player in Rocky Horror, let me know. Let me know what your favorite song from Rocky Horror is. And if you've ever seen the sequel, Shock Treatment, like I have, yeah, there's a couple of us. Let me know what you thought of that. Catastrophe. All right, moo out. I'm going to go smoke the cigar and play Call of Duty.